We are just hours away from the start of the NFL's Super Wildcard Weekend. This morning, we're looking not only at the playoff picture, but also how the weather could affect what's happening on the field. Sunday's game between the AFC East champion Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers in Buffalo looks to have the makings of a winter classic. I'm talking sub-freezing temperatures and a very high chance of snow are in the forecast. I took a trip to our partners at the Weather Channel to check in with meteorologist Stephanie Abrams on the potential impact of the weather on the game. I know what it's like to play in Buffalo, but it was early on in the season, nothing like what you are forecasting Sunday.
Oof, Nate, it is going to be brutal. This is the second windiest stadium in the league, and Sunday could be one of Buffalo's coldest and windiest games ever. We are talking sustained winds at 15 to 20 miles an hour, gust over 30. That'll make these 20s feel like the single digits. And to make matters worse, all the wind could be blowing in snow off the lake.
I know what that's like. Based on my experience playing in cold weather, coaches will be calling those big shots down the field early on because receivers' hands will get cold later in the game, and this football will feel like a brick. Now, Steph, let's take a look and see what team has the edge in these conditions.
All right, so we have Bills quarterback Josh Allen that has played in 18 games defined as cool and windy.
What is that?
Okay, so that means that the temperature was less than 62 degrees and winds were greater than 12 miles an hour.
Okay.
In those conditions, his passing game drops from 7.7 to 6.7 yards per attempt. His total yards per game goes from 262 to 225.
That's pretty significant. Let's take a look and see what's even colder, below freezing and windy. His average drops to even lower, 184 yards per game. And the Steelers, they will be playing Mason Rudolph. Now, he doesn't have quite the same experience playing in these type of winter conditions, right?
No, he doesn't. He's actually only played in 3 of those, quote, cool and windy games. And get this, the coldest he's ever played in was 36 degrees. Not that cold.
Yeah, it's not that cold. It's going to be a lot colder. So the running game, that will be key. But the longer these drives go, the colder the players get. Both teams need to make sure that the weather doesn't win. Another thing they have to keep their eye on is the kicking game. When it comes to field goals and punts, when that wind starts swirling, it could be tough for those kickers. And the ball is harder to hold on to later in the game, so turnovers might happen then.
Yeah, it seems like the best bet is to pick a low-scoring game.
That's good.
Below 31 points.
Yep.
The Bills' record is 3-0 when they're the favorites in these cold and windy games. So the weather prediction is for a Bills win. That will advance them to the next round of playoffs. But what are you forecasting, Nate?
Steph, you're spot on. The Bills have been opposite of the weather. They have been very hot. But fans, they will also be chilly. Speaking of chilly, make sure you get some to heat up that belly and get a little to warm up that spirit.
Or maybe just a lot of layers. That's what you should wear. Nate, it's been great having you here.
Hey, good to see you. Hey, shout out to my folks at the Weather Channel. Now you can watch the Buffalo Bills take on the Pittsburgh Steelers this Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern right here on CBS and streaming on Paramount+. That won't be the only cold game. Dolphins-Chiefs, that's a night game.
Yeah.
They say a real feel could be -9 or colder.
You flew in and out yesterday, and you guys had time to come up with a secret handshake.
We came up with a secret handshake, Gayle, already.
I hate being cold, though, Nate. You're the athlete at the table.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you're an athlete, too.
I mean, let's not go too far yet.
I'm right there with you, Gayle.
Okay, you're
I'm
an
an athlete.
You're an athlete at the table. I can't imagine what it's like paying, because I'm not an athlete. In cold, I hate being cold.
My favorite spot is right there on the sideline with those heaters blowing or sitting on those heated benches. But when you get out there into those elements and those drives, play after play, last long, your fingers go numb. And for me, it goes pinky all the way to the thumb and then my toes. And once that happens, it's so hard to be the football player.
But it could be the adrenaline is so high that you don't feel the cold?
Yeah, but eventually you'll start to feel it. And when you watch the game, just pay attention to a guy's face.
Okay.
You'll tell who's being affected by the cold weather and who is ignoring it.
That's going to be a good weekend of football.
It's going to be a good weekend of football indeed.